Mr. Mason Temple. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
I am awesome. I am covered in rain out here in Los Angeles, which never happens, but it's a good thing. How's everything out where you are? Where are you at right now?
Vancouver, so it's always raining. It's always permanent rain.
I see. So back in the
Yeah.
hometown, what's it like to be back home for a little bit?
It's not for a little bit. I've been here. I'm here forever, pretty much. I go to school here, so yeah. I mean, I gotta be honest. I kind of miss LA right now. Because I don't know. Like every time I'm in LA, I'm doing something. There's like an event. I've never actually just like lived in LA, so LA's never boring to me. You know what I mean?
Well, there's always an
Um,
invitation whenever you're ready to come back down here. I'm sure LA would be love to have you here.
that's been the case, man. Like there's always something popping, and I mean, if we get a third season, like, and when I'm wrapping up school finally, like, I feel like it's time to like get the visa and then do the move, do the big actor thing for a little while, see, what happens with that, and then it is what it is. LA, it's not somewhere where I'd like to live permanently, but it's definitely like, I mean, it's a mecca. It's like the first time I was there as an adult for like work stuff, it was just kind of, it hit me. It was like, this is like a holy city, like for the entertainment industry. Like this is artists from all over the world make pilgrimages here to do like, all sorts of different arts, and it's really interesting being a part of that. It's like such an ancient thing, really. But I mean, I don't know, it's LA, so it's a modern ancient thing. It's really neat.
It's the entertainment mecca. I always tell people it's almost as if you were to come to the Olympics of entertainment because
Yeah,
everyone from all over the world, actors, singers, writers, they all want to come to Los Angeles. And I
yeah.
think if you ever do move out here, expect this because everyone that I've met has had the same experience. Within the first 48 hours, we all just go, "What the am I thinking moving here?" It's just such a culture shock. It's such a different it's a different atmosphere than you'll see anywhere else in the world. But like you said, there's things that you can do here that you can't do anywhere else in the world. So you have to be here at some point. So
Yep.
I hope you do make it out here. But let's talk about Vancouver for a little bit. So what was it like growing up there? Did you know that you wanted to be involved in acting? Did it seem like acting was a possible career move being in Vancouver?
I did not grow up in Vancouver. So my story is that I was born in Taipei. My mom was a model and an actress. My dad was just like a white guy in Asia, but he did modeling and acting too, and he won like a really big singing competition, like almost like their version of American Idol back in the 90s. And I was like a little baby model doing like modeling clothes on the catwalk. I was in commercials and stuff. I was in talk shows. Um, and then when I was 3, we moved to my dad's hometown of Fort St. John, Canada, in BC. Um, and because he was worried that because I'm half Asian, half white, that I was just going to get bullied for being white at American school in Taipei. So we moved to the Hicks in Canada, where I got bullied for being half Asian, which like just didn't really check out. And honestly, like growing up there was really difficult. Like by the time I graduated, like I couldn't walk down the hallway without getting like a racial or like a homophobic slur, often a combination. Um, and so that's like not just every day, that's like every time I walk in the hallway. It was extremely intense. Um, like death threats, fights, like I describe it like it was like the 1950s, almost like 1950s style racism, homophobia, sexism, violence. Um, I mean, it was essentially the Hicks.
That had to have been a
And
really tough time period to get through. What would you lean on to help get through those sort of
my
experiences? Because
community
I'm
of
sure there's a
friends,
lot of people that are experiencing something similar to what you are now, what you were.
my my community of friends, you know, there weren't a lot of helpful adults there. A lot of people were pretty much beaten down by life, by it is what it is mentality, this hyper capitalistic work culture where it's like just shut up and do your work. And, I have plenty of people tell me like the acting thing isn't going to work out. You're gonna go to the big city. You're gonna do your little acting thing. You're gonna come back and get a real job with me in the patch. And it's like this condemnation that you're going to work as a laborer in the patch. Um, and maybe that's fine for some people, but like I feel like luckily for me, I had tasted that at like 3 year old that there's a different future for me out there. And it's crazy. Like a lot of people don't remember their memories when they're like 1, 2, or 3, but I very vividly remember so many pockets because in that racism, I held on to those memories and being like othered all the time. I didn't feel Canadian. Like I was born Canadian because that legally that's how it worked out with being Taiwanese. There wasn't really a dual citizenship thing. My citizenship defaulted to my father, who was Canadian. So it was an overseas born Canadian. But people would always tell me, I'm Asian or go back to your country or all this stuff. I get othered all the time, like literally every waking second. I was never me. But when I go to Taiwan, I was always like, oh, but you're white, you're Canadian. And like I very much wasn't culturally Taiwanese. Just having been so apart from it. So like both these worlds that I was living in were just so racially and culturally homogenous that I never really fit in. But I really, I found community in like my friends, like pretty much every Asian person at the school, and like the one black kid at the school too. Um, and then I found theater. It was I always wanted to be like a scientist, just broadly, more so like an architect or an engineer. Um, when I was a little kid, but then I did my first play, and immediately I knew that's what I want to be. And both my parents were kind of like, "Oh no," like here we go. But like they weren't surprised because I mean, just the history of what our life was like in Taiwan, and also like my grandpa, he was one of the founding members, I think, of the like community theater group in Fort St. John where I grew up. Um, and apparently he was hell of a community theater actor himself. And my Agong, my grandpa in Taiwan, like he won a Golden Horse posthumously for his which is like their version of an Oscar for his contribution to the film industry in Taiwan. Is he was one of like the first theater owners, I believe, that brought in like American films, and um he did work in translation, but the thing is like he actually didn't understand English. Like he would just make up he'd sit like be there with like a microphone, like translating things, but he would just be making it up. So it's funny that that got him a posthumous golden horse, but it
Okay,
did.
so
So
before just real quick, because I
yeah.
do want to first off thank you for being so open and willing to share your
Oh yeah, I
experiences.
guess it's a really long thing. Yeah.
No, yeah. So, but just to focus back on that, do you think that that has had any lasting impact moving forward? What were you able to take away from that experience, or what are you still dealing with from that experience?
I've largely have dealt with the trauma at this point. And it's funny because like so Hunter was a very contentious character, let's just say, when the show came out. Um, so much so to the point that Netflix like offered me free suicide prevention counseling because they were very worried about my mental health. But I told them like honestly, I'm fine. This is nothing compared to high school. There are a lot of really obscene, mean things that people have DM me and messaged me. But I mean, like, that's nothing compared to, the kid that I go to school with threatening to kill me and my entire family because I'm stealing their job. I stole their dad's job. It's like, dude, I work at Staples. My mom packs groceries. Your dad wasn't gonna go apply to like be a grocery store clerk. Like, you know what I mean? Like I've had people the craziest DM I think I've ever received is was from this one account. Now I won't say their name, but they threatened me and then like they added me in like a group of like other um public figures and they were threatening like kill and rape all these people. And I was like, oh my God, I'm being threatened alongside Natalie Portman. Wow, I've really made it. Like that's my outlook on it. Like, because it shows your name and
Amazing.
then
There's a
like
lot of
a list
directions
of
I thought
people.
that was about to go. Bringing in
No,
Natalie
like
Portman was not where I thought that go.
Natalie Portman was in the group, and I'm almost certain like she's got a social media manager. Like she's probably not looking at that, but like I'm not big enough to have that, right? So I'm seeing it, but like like that's obviously really messed up. But like, I mean, it comes with like people are crazy. Like if you're on a public thing, someone will just pick you and they will decide that they hate you and they're going to make their entire personality, everything about themselves is going to be about hating you. But the thing is like, I don't know. I've met people in real life who had like real life consequences where I've been assaulted so many times because like in school and been harassed and like, like I didn't feel safe growing up where I grew up because, like people would say, oh, just kids are trying to get into your head and whatnot. But it's like, no, this goes deeper than that because this kid learned this stuff from this kid's parents. So that means it's not just one kid that like threatens to kill me and hates my guts. It's like this is a systemic problem in this community where like so many of these kids all hate me. That must mean their families also like they've learned it from somewhere and that reflects the community. And then, you know, I would say like not the entire community like was threatening to kill me, but a lot of the community did not hold their friends accountable. Like in high school, I even dated people that were friends with people that would just be overtly, very clearly racist. Like they would say slurs to me in front of me and like my girlfriend or whatever at the time. And it was just like, oh, that's just Tyler being Tyler. And it's like apologists for like there's a complicity that helped build this feeling of that I wasn't safe.
If you were
Um,
to say like what a potential solution to this could be, would it be
Anti-racism.
speaking up? Yeah.
You must speak out. If you don't dismantle, if you don't confront your friends, your family, I don't care who, it will continue, and you are part of the problem. Like, let me personally tell you, I haven't been back to Fort St. John since the show came out, and it's really weird because like you know, there's been a massive outpouring of support and love from the community now, which has been complicated. Like I appreciate it. And there's a lot of turnover in that city just because like, it's an oil patch town kind of like people come in and out for work. So it's really hard to really ever get a gist of the zeitgeist or the feeling of the community there. And I mean, like I definitely still have like friends and mentors that live there that I dearly love and that always supported me. So, but like when I think of that place, I don't even associate them with that. I associate the larger overall feeling that I had which was, not people going to see my theater shows. It was like the oil patch culture that, you know, their sons would all these men's sons would all, attack me at school. And I can only imagine that's because it's either not being held accountable by their families or it's being promoted by their families. And I mean, not to make everything about politics, but it is a political thing because that's what like I'm not they would bring it in. That's the
Yeah.
politics of the area. Like people are very like, it's my country, get out. And it's like, no, you're on Treaty 8, like this is treaty land. You're a colonizer, you're a settler. Like what it's insane to me when the whole get out of my country thing, it's like, yo, there's only one group of
It's very
people
entitled.
and
It's very
there's only one group of people on this continent that have any right to say that.
yeah. But I guess one last thing before we end that conversation, do you have any tips or advice for people that are going through something like that
It
currently
gets
that
better.
maybe what yeah.
It gets better. Like it's such a hard thing to conceptualize, especially like I had tasted that as a baby and I held on to that my entire life. Um, so I knew there was another world out there, but having grown up there, I saw plenty of talented, kids go through the theater program with me who are just as talented as me, but they all quit because they didn't think it would get better. Um, and having like had the success that I've had, I've gone back to some of these friends of mine and they have actually decided to pursue the arts and because they are literally just as talented as me. Like I happen to be very fortunate with just the way things played out. A lot of this is luck. Um, just like right time, right place stuff. But like it can work, and this mentality of like you cannot give up, that you have to give up on your dreams and you have to do what's realistic and just make money. That's, I mean, if you want to engage that, sure, it's your life. But like if you want to follow your dreams, I mean, just be aware of what the consequence is. You could be a starving artist for the rest of your life. You got to be okay with that. But you can do it, and you can also like you can get out of this situation. It's not easy when you're a teenager because like you're at the whim of probably wherever your parents are living if you've got a good relationship with them and you can't leave. But like hold on. I mean, I it wasn't because of the racism, but like the racism and all that stuff didn't help. Um, like I tried to I tried to unalive myself several times in high school. Um, I wish I could go back, obviously, and just tell that kid like you have no idea what the future lies. Like it gets so much better, like so unbelievably better. Um, and like these people are going to end up one day in your Facebook DMs, like going, "Hey, I saw you in the new show, and I just want to say it was really cool getting to know you in high school." And like these are people that called you like the C slur, the F slur. You know what I mean? Like it's you're gonna have the last laugh. Like just don't do that to yourself. And you know, yeah, if there's anyone out there that's hearing that, like just it gets better. You can take yourself out of that situation. Um, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Mason, so much for trusting us with all of your story and being so open with us. We really do appreciate it. I have to believe that that's going to help so many people out there that are going through something very similar. So thank you for your bravery, first of all, to be able to share your experiences, and then also your openness and willing to be able to share your story. Okay,
You
let's
have to, because like it's you know the more people that the more like actual genuine like stories of survival essentially um are out there, the easier it is for other people to hear that, and hopefully they will survive. Like again, there wasn't a lot. I was just kind of like doing a leap of faith and holding on to that kind of hope. So yeah, there's not a lot out there for like mixed people, or even Asian actors. But yeah, yeah, if it can help anyone.
Guys, we're back on the line right now with Mason from Ginny and Georgia. You can see him playing Hunter. What an amazing series season 2 ended up being. Um, Looking forward, though, got a birthday coming up, man. Any fun plans coming up for the birthday? I think 2 weeks away at this. Well, less than a week, about a week
A
away.
week away, yeah. Actually, I do. I normally don't celebrate my birthday, but I'm going back to Taiwan on my birthday actually, so I'm going to spend it on a
Wow.
plane, which sucks, but that's fine. I haven't been to Taiwan uh since actually Chinese New Year, right before the pandemic, like right when the virus broke out in Wuhan, which is not in Taiwan, but I remember like everything was fine, and then the morning after Chinese New Year, no one was on the street, and I forgot, like I was like going to 7-Eleven to pick up my breakfast and wondering what the hell happened. Like, shit, is everyone that hungover? And because normally the streets are packed in Taipei. Um, and then getting like a call from my mom. She's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm at 7-Eleven." "Go back inside. Have you seen the news?" And I'm like, "Okay, what?" And like, obviously I was like, "Oh, so it's like the bird flu and SARS." I'm like, "Oh, well, it's not in Taiwan, so it's fine." And oh, lol. The year of the golden rat really did not disappoint, I guess, because holy shit,
When did
that
it
was
sink in
not.
for you that this was going to be something completely different? And how quickly did that happen in Taiwan?
Well, Taiwan actually staved off the virus for a really long time, but we headed back almost immediately just because like it was very serious for everyone. But I thought, like it was going to be like bird flu and swine flu and SARS, like mainly like restricted to Asia, and it'll be like likely contained. It didn't really stink in until I think it hit maybe like Italy or whatever, like Europe. The first places outside of Asia that it hit, and it was like, when I saw like the body bags, I was like, ah. nope, this is, and I didn't think it'd be a couple weeks. Like there was, we could, if there was a way, like if we really shut down the borders and like managed it, like Taiwan, for example, there's a way to stave it off. But it became very evident that like the Canadian government was not interested in trying that. Maybe it's an impossible thing anyways, but um, I don't know. Just like there was like no checks at the plane borders, like airport borders for some reason. You couldn't cross the land border, but there were tons of people going in and out through airplanes. So it was just like, we're screwed and we're gonna have to live with this. And I don't know how long this is gonna take, but
At that
like,
point, you guys had already shot Ginny and Georgia season one, correct?
yep, it
Did
was like we literally finished in December, and like 2 months later, I guess it was in March, the lockdowns happened. 3 months later,
did you have
um,
any fear that the series was going to go away because of this?
a little bit. I was so like we had all the footage. Like so I had heard like anything that was mid-production was up like straight up canceled. And that was pretty much true for a lot of things. It was just like there's no foreseeable future for these projects. Anything that was close to being done, I think was kind of just postponed. Um, but Ginny and Georgia was done filming. It was just post. And I kind of figured like, well, it's all post, like no one's really got to be in person for any of that. But it still ended up really, really slowing down the process. Like it took till 2021 for release, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we finished at the end of 2019. Like I dab in the show, and by the time it came out, the dabbing was really, really not well accepted. Like you're dabbing in 2021, man. I didn't film it yesterday. Still, it was like I was dabbing ironically in 2019, but like, yeah, like 2 years later, no one's even thinking about dabbing.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
an
Can
ironic
we talk
dab
about that
too.
for a second? How short-lived some of these terms are. I was working with someone that was probably about 18 the other day, and they had said something about how their breakfast slapped. And I said, "Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I've not heard this
Okay,
before."
I've been using slap for a long time, but like for me like the when like I'm turning 27 in like a week, cap and no cap. Oh my God, like that one totally missed me. And that's when I was like, fuck, I'm old now. I totally missed this one. I don't know which one, like what does cap mean? What does no cap mean? I assume the opposite.
There's a basketball
Um,
player named James Harden. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He
yeah,
played for the Houston Rockets at this
Houston
time.
Rockets.
A girl came up to him, and
Really
I
big
think
in Asia, by the way. I don't
is
know.
really
Really
James
big in
Harden.
Taiwan. Yeah, like his shoes were everywhere in Taiwan.
Well, shout out
The
to James
NBA's
Harden then.
NBA is huge in Asia.
Taiwan
So
loves the beard.
yeah.
Okay, so a girl came up to him in Target and said that she's his biggest fan. He said, "That's Cap." That was the first time I ever heard someone say that's Cap. she, I, I guess so, he's just setting cultural norms all over the world with the shoes and with terms.
With slang terms, yeah, African American vernacular. I mean, like, that's
Did
awesome. It
Did you ever
totally
want to
missed
play
me though.
basketball since it was such a big deal?
Okay, I ne so I've got like two basketball stories. The first one is why I never will play basketball. In grade three, like I was in the school basketball team or whatever. Like it's kind of weird that we even had that for like third graders. But I remember like we were getting crushed. I was with I think Alan Hall in elementary, and we were getting crushed by probably like Duncan Cran or whatever, a bunch of kids that hit puberty way before us. And I remember like trying to rally the team as like a third grade, like we could do it, guys, come on. And I went out there and like I ended up stealing the ball and I like deked everybody out. Like it was crazy. And I ended up like shooting a 3-pointer and I got it. And I was like, guys, come on, we can do it. Let's rally. And they're like, Mason, that was our own basket.
Oh no,
And I turn around and like see everyone's actually laughing at me. So I just go
Mason,
up to the
no.
like the pole and I just slam my head against it. And
Oh,
we got crushed at the end of that game. And like, the coach was like, "Oh, it's all good, son." And I'm like, "Yeah." So because of that, I'll never play basketball. But then I remember like in 2012, I think Lynn Sanity happened, and Jeremy Lin is like he's Jeremy Lin,
yeah, Jeremy
Jeremy
Lin,
Lin.
Lin
He's
Sanity.
Taiwanese, and I was just like, it just blew my mind. I don't, I think he does actually understand like the impact that that had because it was just like seeing an Asian person do something outside of the stereotype, outside of the box, and be good at it, and like break that barrier for a lot of people. Like at the time, especially with like what I was dealing with in school with like, with all the racism and stuff. And even just in media, like it was, like stereotypes were all over the place. To have like Lynn Sandy happen meant so much to me and every other Asian person, but especially Asian males, um, in my school and like presumably like all around North America, um, made me want to like do basketball again. And like I was practicing and I was garbage, so I didn't do it. But like those were like the two times I ever wanted to play basketball. Lynn Sandy one obviously meaning a lot more to me just for the cultural impact of that. But yeah.
All right, so we do have to hit a couple of these Ginny and Georgia questions before we let you go. You had a couple of bit more scenes with Felix this year. What was it like to be working on set with that after you punched him in the face in season one?
I was so happy. I love that scene. My two favorite scenes in the second season, the one with Tony when Hunter and Ginny are making up, and then the last one that I got with Felix.
In
Just
the
because, like,
staircase?
yeah, yeah. Just because, like, that that's really positive masculinity, in my opinion, and that's not a thing that we often see. Because like we want to see drama, right? But I feel like we saw the drama, and it I think it's really meaningful to see like Hunter actively work at being a positive, not just friend, but like male, um, in general, and connecting with Marcus. Felix is a phenomenal actor. It's funny, like him and Nikki were the two people I hung out with the most in the first season. And I don't share any scenes with Nikki, obviously. And I shared like one, two scenes. One was a dream sequence with Felix. It's really funny that that's how it worked out. But yeah, it was really great to get to work with him more. He's legitimately like everyone is incredibly nice on the cast, but like he's such a nice dude. Um, yeah, yeah, I just was really really happy to work with him, and if we get a third season, I hope like I don't know, I hope Marcus joins the band or something like that'd be really cool.
You
So
mentioned that scene that you had with Tony in the hallway where you guys kind of were able to mend the fences a little bit and end a relationship in a very non-toxic way that you
mhm.
don't necessarily see in a lot of teen dramas. Just the maturity that Hunter was bringing to Ginny. And can you speak to that scene, what it meant to you and what it was like being back on set with Tony?
Tony's a force, and man, like I hope their team is pushing to get like an Emmy nom or something. Like she killed it this season. She she's got two devastating scenes that brought tears to my eye. Like and the amount of work that her and Brienne had to put in, like it was not easy during the pandemic. If they go down, everyone goes like the whole production goes down. So they were like isolated essentially. Um, yeah, it's always a treat to work with Tony. She's incredible.
Did it
That
break you down the
scene,
first time you saw that scene in the bedroom where, or spoiler alert for anybody who has not seen this
yeah,
scene yet, the first time that you saw the scene between Brienne and Tony, um,
yeah,
where they were
devastating.
revealing Ginny's secret, that what she had been doing to herself, did that hit you in the same way that it hit so many of us?
Yeah, like I never self-harmed in that way, but like I've got my own history with like suicide, and I might even cry thinking about it. Like when when Georgia is like my baby, anyone who knows anyone that self-harms is when that revelation, like I've dated a lot of people who have self-harmed, and oh, and you know I've been through my own shit, so I am crying thinking about that scene. And same thing with the scene with Zion. Like it's just devastating to when you find out that people you love are so, just are doing that to themselves. It's just like it's hard. It's really hard. And I mean, yeah, they knocked those scenes out of the park. And I was devastated. I was in tears. Um, some of the best work I've ever seen in my life. And I happen to know these people just as an artist, some of the best work I've ever seen. And just to have that reflected, I mean, the catharsis as an audience member that that brought was extremely um, great. But just as an artist to witness that was just like, wow, I'm so fortunate to get to work with these like forces. And yeah, in regards to the scene I have with Tony though, Hunter and Ginny, um, yeah, like I'm it makes me even more so appreciate Hunter. Like I gotta be honest, he actually like at that moment, like continuity wise, he's still under the assumption that Ginny cheated on him the entire time. Um, but he's come to the point where it's like he's not in control of that or whatever. He still has his feelings for her, and he's choosing love for her over retribution or hatred, even if he still feels this hurt. And the best way he can show his love to her is simply letting her go and letting her, you know, be with the guy that she wants to be with, um, and supporting her in that. And that is such a, as someone who's had to do that, that is such a difficult thing to do. And you don't often see that in shows. Often you see just like a really dramatic, toxic thing where they continues this back and forth thing. Um, so to see Hunter and to be able to play that character is great. I think that's a really good example for young viewers. And it's also just like, you know, we just don't see a lot of toxic. We don't see a lot of positive masculinity in media. I definitely think media has reinforced a lot of toxic masculine behaviors and traits and has celebrated that. So to see that, see the opposite of that, uh, and someone doing the hard thing, but doing the right thing and managing their emotions and growing, that's really meaningful to me. I know I've like as a teenager, I've made my mistakes too. So, you know, I wish I would have done what Hunter would have done, you know? Um,
Definitely. And I think
but
there's a
yeah,
lot of us who have in the moment made decisions that we
yeah.
wish we had that wristband. WWHD. What would Hunter do in this situation? Uh,
Yeah, what would Hunter do? I hope that takes off. What would Hunter do?
yeah, merch in
If that could replace
2023,
Happy
baby.
Friday.
Throw it up there. Let's have that be how we
Yeah.
start our 2023, everybody. Hunter, Mason, again, thank you so much for just your openness and your kindness with us today and being willing to share your story and your bravery and just the way that you are so mature about all this. And I'm sure it wasn't always easy to be so mature and be able to take in all these things that you've experienced. So thank you for
Taking
what
a
you've
lot of
experienced
learning.
and being able to share it with us today as well.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I know we went over time, but this was great. I really, really enjoyed it.